Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on why mental health retreats. We're so glad you're here for the meet and greet on this Friday afternoon. We'll be sharing the story of why we started a mental health retreats business, what is a mental health retreat, and if it's the right for you, or how you might benefit from attending one. So yeah, think of it as more of a Friday afternoon casual conversation to get to know each other. So grab a cup of tea or coffee or refreshing drink, some water, and yeah, just sit back and relax. Trying to get my shoulders to drop, relax my jaw. So yeah, it's super nice to have you all here. We have some exciting news and a special offer to share at the end. So be sure to stay until the end or check back on the replay. So today we'll be introducing myself and my co-facilitator, Laurie. And we will also love to get to know you folks. So feel free to type in the chat your name, where you are calling in from, what you do, and or what you're passionate about, and what's on your heart and mind lately. So I can kick it off first, and then we'll pass it on to Laurie. So hi, everyone. My name is Anna, and I live in Toronto, Canada. I am an entrepreneur and the founder of Healing Journey Retreat. I am passionate about traveling, neuroscience, mental health, hosting, and creating, spaces and experiences that connect people. I'm also really passionate about sharing the behind the scenes of entrepreneurship and life and just being authentic overall. What's on my heart and mind lately is the upcoming retreat in Tulum, Mexico in January 2024. It's our first mental health retreat, and I'm super excited about making it happen, attracting the right people, people who could really benefit from this, and then just kind of helping them kickstart their healing journey in 2024. So yeah, we'll pass it on to Laurie now. Laurie, you're on mute.
Thank you, Anna. So welcome to everybody. I am Laurie Bedard. I'm a clinical counselor. I was a teacher for many years before that. I'm the founder of LJB and Associates Counseling Services. And more and more, I've been writing. I write for an online magazine called Brains. You can find some of my articles there. I have a blog called the Prof blog, and on Substack, I have a newsletter called My Messy Life, and also have a multi-authored book called Broken, and that'll be released toward the end of the summer. I am passionate about helping people find solutions to manage mental health challenges. So my LJB and Associates Counseling Services and my writing, so my counseling and my writing, thing that they have in common is that I deal a lot with raising awareness about mental health, all things being mental health and psychology. And another thing I'm super passionate about is my family. What's on my heart and mind lately is, like finding creative solutions to challenges in the world of mental health and the mental health industry. I find like there are gaps that are missing. There are other ways that we could be addressing mental health, and focused on delivering impactful and insightful educational workshops, whether it be at the retreat or I do workshops for pretty much anybody who asks me anything having to do with mental health. And that's me in a nutshell. Over to
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So yeah, during this call, feel free to use the chat and the emoji to express yourself when you feel like something is really resonating, and also feel free to ask any questions and we'll get to them at the end. So why mental health retreat? So I started this business based on my own journey with mental health recovery. In the last decade, I worked in the tech industry at both startups and corporations and just struggled with multiple cycles of burnout, anxiety, and depression. I was really affected by toxic work situations at first. And then even eventually when I found a great job with a great boss, great pay, everything, I still felt unfulfilled. So it went from why do I let things or people get to me to like, what's wrong with me? Is this all there is to life? And all kinds of questions. So I've been in therapy for many years, and I often semi joke about how everyone should have a therapist, preferably assigned to us at birth, because we're not really taught at school, home, or at work how to deal with our emotions and how to process things properly. So about 6 months ago, I was laid off from my job. And in hindsight, I'm glad the universe put this fire under me so I can take the leap into entrepreneurship, which is something I've always wanted to do. So during this deep introspection period that followed the layoff, I started to, find my way and purpose. So that's mainly, bringing together like what I'm good at, what I love to do. So in the last decade, it was also side hustling as an Airbnb host. So this was before anybody knew about Airbnb, and I would have guests that stay with me, on my couch or in my extra bedroom, and we go hang out with my friends, have picnics, and go like sailing in Lake Ontario. So from that, I also traveled the world and stayed in hostels, which I loved more than hotels and Airbnbs because you can meet people through their daily activities like the free walking tours, go sightseeing together and eating together and just having, the well-designed kind of common spaces and experiences that really bond people for years to come. So I actually really wanted to start my own hostel, and I stayed and worked at the best hostels in the world, trying to like learn the business, talking with the owners and managers every day. And if you add all the time together, I think it's like 5 years of cumulatively like being on the road and something like 200 hostels later, I was really close to opening my own in Montreal. But then the pandemic hit, and I was, forced to go back to the 9 to 6, 7 grind. And so part of me, I think, had to mourn the loss of this dream. And I got quite depressed and just lost. So I was documenting the journey on Instagram as the hostel journey. And so that hostel journey became the healing journey because I started to share my thoughts through writing, which was one of my therapeutic outlets. And people would DM me and say, like, thank you for being so open and for talking about mental health. I don't feel so alone, after reading your stories. So yeah, right after I was laid off, there was this nonprofit organization in Toronto that was offering a women's entrepreneurship course for people struggling with mental health. And on the application form, there was a question that says, what's your business idea? And I put down hostel for depressed people. I think I just thought at the time, like I, wanted to go somewhere during that dark period and maybe didn't want to go with friends or be around strangers in an all-inclusive resort or hotel. I wanted to be surrounded by people who get me, who's maybe been through similar things and feel okay to cry and not judged. I wanted the option to have like a nudge to go do things and talk with like-hearted people, but also relax and be on my own when I wanted to. So I actually really love this reel on Instagram by the introverted attorney. So the guy says, I feel so burnt out. I really need a vacation. And then he's on the beach and he says, actually, I need a therapy. What if you could do a little bit of both? So during my dark times again, when I was going through my own stuff, when I Googled mental health retreats, I found a lot of yoga, meditation, and spiritual retreats, but maybe not everybody aligns with that or wants to do yoga every day per se for 8 hours a day. And then the other side was a lot of like clinical rehab centers for people with severe mental illnesses where, they have to stay for months. So I thought, okay, maybe I can create something in between for people looking for like an evidence-based approach, but still be immersed in nature. So surrounded by like jungle and ocean or mountains and lakes, and still have certified professionals to guide us, especially when, emotions come up. So, all memes aside, did you know that 1 in 4 Canadians experience depression at some point in their life? And globally, 280 million people suffer from depression, and it's a similar stats for anxiety. And with the pandemic, the prevalence for both depression and anxiety has increased by 25% worldwide. And the mental health market is growing at a compound annual growth rate of 8% and is the third Sustainable Development Goal for the United Nations. So I'm a true believer in therapy, and sometimes I've plateaued, and I think that's normal because, once you leave that session, life just comes at you with responsibilities and an endless to-do list. So a retreat is where you get to go somewhere away from your usual environment and truly immerse yourself in nature, in time, and in healing. So coming from a science family and with a background in neuroscience, even though knowing why we get depressed and how the brain works was helpful when I was going through my own struggles, it still took, therapy, introspection, journaling, yoga, art, and taking time off work, joining support groups as pillars that supported my mental health in a holistic way. So recent years, there are a lot of life coaches that offer wellness retreats based on their personal experiences, which I understand because I've learned a lot from my own healing journey. But I want to partner with therapists such as Laurie, psychologists, career coaches, nutritionists, and other certified professionals who have years of trained experience and expertise in mental health topics, who are truly qualified to share the knowledge that's rooted in science and research. And retreats are not just workshops in a pretty place. We've chosen Mexico for its healing culture, nourishing environment, and delicious food. So I actually spent 3 months last winter in Mexico, and even just coming out of the airport, feeling the warm air, like sun on my face, seeing the lush green everywhere and flowers blooming in full color, I felt my anxiety just like flew away by at least 50%. So I think swimming in the ocean, floating in these like cenotes, which are natural freshwater swimming holes in the Yucatan area, just being in the sun, I think it nourished my body in ways that Canadian winters couldn't. I'm okay with like 1 to 2 months of winter, like getting into the holiday spirit. But then once that fresh snow has come and, I can't do 6 more months with slush and gray. So besides the neuroscience workshops and, guided discussions by clinical mental health therapists, we will also incorporate yoga, meditation, and other activities. So I also just got my yoga teacher training after doing yoga for on and off about 10 years. So I'll be teaching yoga at the retreats. And together we can explore alternative healing modalities like massages, sound healing baths, spiritual and cultural experiences to what's available locally. And where you get to just try different things and take what resonates with you and leave the rest. And, lastly, we all know that a trip can be amazing, whether that's a retreat or just a vacation. But once you come home to the winter, you can feel like, ooh, my life kind of sucks again. So we want to offer aftercare programs where we help you bridge that gap and transition back to your life. So continue, let's say, in a group or one-on-one check-in, for a little bit to apply and integrate what you've learned from the retreat into your everyday life, and then also support each other as a community. So if this is resonating with you, we have great news, because our upcoming retreat is taking place in Tulum, Mexico on Sunday, January the 7th for 7 nights. So you can, join us and kick off your new year by prioritizing your mental health and putting yourself first. So this retreat is really for professionals, entrepreneurs, and anyone who's ever felt overwhelmed, burnt out, been that overthinker, had dips in your mood, and then the tightness in your heart, maybe had, sleepless nights, feeling lost and in pain, or waking up with that piano on your chest feeling, because I've been there. So this retreat is for you if you want to take action and you want to be proactive and manage your mental health in a sustainable way. So of course, some problems in life go away on their own, but for me, I've relapsed, in mental health struggles, and because also life as we know it, there will always be ebbs and flows. We still have to learn and practice how to change our reaction to stress, how to change our thought patterns, like change the way we talk to ourselves and others. And I mean, like, one thing to mention here is that sometimes our loved ones, like our partner, family, might not know how to be with us or what to say to us when we're going through a rough time. Again, because no one taught them that saying, oh, just look on the bright side or focus on the positive isn't really that helpful. So on this retreat, for example, we'll be talking about first, like, knowing who you are, like, what's for you, what are your triggers, and then also come up with mini scripts or talking points to have those difficult conversations that can help your loved ones help you. And then you practice that conversation, you act it out with peers and have that support so that you can be ready when you leave the retreat and, go back to your life and be ready to handle all kinds of situations. So we all know this is hard work, and it takes time. So that's why we have designed the retreat where we have workshops in the mornings, and the afternoons are reserved for relaxation, time to yourself, fun activities like snorkeling with turtles, going to the beach, cenotes walking tour, and trying art therapy or having group journaling prompts, sharing circles by the fire, visiting museums, or trying a local cacao ceremony, or the sauna healing experience called Temazcal. Maybe you want to get a massage or make ceramics or just relax by the pool. We're thinking maybe only the first couple of workshops are mandatory, quote unquote, or strongly recommended, just to get everyone on the same page. And the rest of the activities, you can feel free to opt in or out. And we encourage you to take the time for yourself whenever you need. And I think we can all agree that it's easier to do hard work when you're rewarded and taking care of yourself. When I was going through my own mental health struggles, I'm not saying that a 7-day retreat would have just healed me, because obviously healing is a journey and sometimes that can take a while, if not a lifetime. But a mental health retreat definitely would have shortened that tunnel of darkness, I think, by months, or lessened the severity of the symptoms I was having, and then gotten me back to my normal so that I can thrive sooner. And I think Mexico for me gave me that space, time, again, the nourishing environment for my own self-discovery, mental clarity, resilience, and now the courage to pursue what I'm passionate about. And it also led me to Laurie. So I was talking with my own therapist in a session about this kind of curated travel experience designed for people who struggle with mental health and the lack of mental health retreats around the world. And she said, oh, actually a lot of therapists would love to facilitate retreats and share their knowledge. So I was introduced to Laurie. And when I spoke with her the first time, I think, Laura, we were both in Mexico, but in different cities. And so she told me she has 25 years of teaching experience, is a certified clinical counselor therapist, and a professor of psychology, who did a master's thesis on wilderness therapy and has worked at rehab centers for people with schizophrenia and psychosis. So she's trained in crisis intervention and also goes to Mexico every winter, and also has a dream of owning a ranch eventually with farm animals as a retreat center for trauma and healing. So I thought, okay, you know, one door closed in my life and here's another one that opened. So I'm super grateful to introduce Laurie as the co-facilitator for the Tulum Mexico retreat. Laurie, please tell us about yourself, where you're from, your journey of becoming a therapist, and yeah, just tell us about you.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I remember that when we first started talking, it was supposed to be, I think, an hour conversation we had, but I think by the time we finished, it was dark outside and I had to switch the lights on. It ended up talking like 3 hours and we were both hungry. And it's like, well, maybe we should go now. My journey, it starts, I mean, I can start with the personal journey and weave it into the, how it became a professional journey. I spent a lot of my adolescent, early adult years trying to manage, crawl out of the hole that I was in as a result of several traumatic experiences growing up. And, at some point I decided being balanced and having peace in my life was going to be a full-time job for me. Like I was going to approach it in that way, and that I was tired of the anxiety and the depression, kind of feeling like, walking around with that dark cloud, or actually walking around with an umbrella up in case anything ever went wrong, but missing out on all the beautiful sunny days. So that's where my journey started. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, which really, manifested into anxiety and depression. So that's kind of like the backstory. From there, I wanted to, when I started my career, I was thinking of teaching because another of my traumatic experiences was having a very abusive first grade teacher. So my professional career started where my number one priority was to make sure that no child suffered the way that I did, and also my classmates. But a lot of times when I was in the classroom teaching, I was like, wait, I'm supposed to be teaching these kids how to read and how to do math. And yet all I'm really concerned about is, do they feel safe with me? Are they having a positive experience here? Are they able to learn based on, where they're coming from and what's happening in their environment? And I really picked up on the fact that some kids were not able to learn, and it had nothing to do with, how precocious or curious or intelligent they were. It had to do with their main goal in coming to school was to be safe, because that's where they were safe. And it was hard to teach them without first really making it safe for them and taking care of their mental health and mental well-being. So from there, I sort of realized I didn't have the skills that I wanted. I had teaching skills, but I wanted to have the skills to really help the students in my class more than just their academic self. I really wanted to learn about the whole child. That was my beginning. That's what I wanted. But when I got into a master's degree program, I decided I'm just going to let my passion find me, and I really ended up being directed toward substance abuse and alcoholism issues. Ended up doing my internship at a rehab, a drug and alcohol inpatient rehab. And that's really the best training for any therapist, because you see everything. You see trauma, bipolar, everything that a counselor is going to deal with. And I love the idea of the community that it created. And I sometimes would think, if I don't suffer from substance abuse, but the anxiety and the depression, if I had somewhere to go for a month or even 3 months, at that time when I was really struggling, that I thought that really could give me this. That wasn't going to change my life. It wasn't going to solve all my problems, but I thought it could really give me a foundation, like I was helping to give to the clients, this foundation, really strong, solid foundation to go into the world, go back into my life, and be able to proceed from there instead of the hole that I was in. So at the time, I wasn't willing to go and touch the trauma aspects. I really focused on that, but that leads you to trauma anyway. So now I practice EMDR. I am a clinical certified trauma professional. I deal with fragments of self. And I'm a humanistic counselor. I would consider myself to be eclectic. I have used CBT with people, cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR. I worked a lot with the inner child, and I am basically, as Anna was saying, it's not one size fits all. But I do realize it's something that didn't teach me, and when I was in my master's degree, is psychoeducation and counseling. They're not so different, and a lot of times having knowledge, so being educated while you're being counseled, while you're having your group therapy, that really can add another layer to that foundation, understanding what's why and what's happening, and really focusing on all parts of ourselves: sexual, physical, spiritual, intellectual, psychological, and emotional. And you just kind of putting those pieces together. So that's how I work. Everybody's different, and I don't have a one size fits all. So the research shows for positive outcomes, the modality of therapy is not the most important. It's literally the therapeutic relationship. So how much do you trust the person you're working with? And I work in partnership. So not that I'm an expert and you're going to listen to me. It's more like you're an expert. I'm an expert. Let's put our expertise together and let's find some solutions that can work. That's me, Anna.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laurie, for sharing your journey. And yeah, tell us about your family and where you're from. Where you're calling in from today.
I am from Saint-Basile-le-Grand. It's a little suburb, about 20 minutes outside of Montreal, in Quebec, Canada. And I am, my partner and I have created an amazing blended family of 5 boys, and that they're grown men, but we spend a lot of time together. And so a lot of my hobbies and passions include my family. So we like to go hiking and snowboarding and traveling. And that is, that's my main go-to in life. And when I need that support, I have this family to turn to, which is really, really awesome. Very proud of what we've created.
Awesome. Thank you. And then now, Laurie, tell us about how you found the retreat venue for the Tulum retreat, and also about the group that runs the snorkeling with turtles experience.
Sure. I remember one particular time I was experiencing postpartum depression after the birth of my twins, and the doctor was being followed by a doctor, and one of his suggestions was, "Why don't you go somewhere where it's warm?" And I thought, oh, okay. So my parents were in Florida, so I went to Florida. The beach and the warm weather, because this I had the twins in January, so it was in a really difficult time. But it did it changed my perspective a bit, just walking out into that sunshine. When I met my husband, we talked about, you know, retirement plans. What do we want to do when we retire? And so we thought, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go visit some places like every year and then decide where we want to retire. We were planning on visiting Portugal and Costa Rica. And our first place was Mexico. We had friends who were living in Akumal, which is right near Tulum. And sure, we went there for a week. We haven't tried anywhere else, to be honest with you. We just keep going back because sometimes you have to listen to the energy and where you are and how you feel. And I just feel safe and relaxed there. I feel my whole body responds in a positive way. Not just the surroundings, it's beautiful and lush jungle, but the people. We've made so many friends, and we go and stay there for a month now in the winter. So we've met a lot of local people who have really helped us, and is the reason why we love it and go back every year. Martin, you met, you see in this picture here, where we're all standing up. That's at the Buena Vista. It's a local restaurant that's right on the beach, and he is the husband. So we knew Anna, his wife, first. We all went out. We met. There's people in the background. The man you see in the back with the black shirt on, he's Mayan. He speaks Mayan and Spanish. He's teaching us Mayan. His name is Panchito. His name, and he tells us about how his mother still cooks with the traditional Mayan method. So Martin's also, I'm not sure if it's a brother-in-law or a related family member, but they run the bike tours around the local cenotes. So what's interesting about that is where we stay, there are some cenotes that only the locals know about. You're not going to find the cenotes that we will go on the bike trip. You're not going to find it on Trivago or Expedia as a tour. So these young people trying to feed their families and make a living they bought some bikes and they run these tours, but they take you to the local cenotes, which you probably wouldn't have known about. And they're absolutely beautiful and gorgeous. The cenote you see here in the middle, that is a cenote that's directly across the street from where my husband and I stay in Akumal. And it's maybe a 10-minute bike ride from where the retreat will be hosted. And it is a cenote, but they bring you there. They share the history, which they know a lot of the history, and they teach, they teach you, how far the cenote goes into the ocean. It's really fascinating. There are a lot of amazing people in that area, and that's how we came to find Akumal, quite by chance, but we fell in love, and this is where we plan on being.
Yeah, so after Laurie found the retreat venue, I think it was on her bike ride. I think this is like a few days before or after we spoke, and then she sent me their website, and then I said, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And then even though we looked at, I think, 10 other venues after, we still picked Peladora Eco Resort, that's the name of the venue, for their eco consciousness and commitment to preserving the land, the local community and culture. And yeah, like thanks to Laurie, we're also going to give back to the local youth venture. from the Acapulco community who really promote sustainable and mindful travel. So for example, when you go snorkeling with turtles, you're not supposed to just like touch them and feed them certain things. So it's really nice to have that partnership with the local community. And yeah, so Laurie, maybe lastly, tell us what it'd be like to go on a retreat with you and I, and maybe what kind of benefits or results people can expect to leave with.
Yeah, that's a great question on that. Well, if you can imagine, just you close your eyes and you're stepping into this haven of tranquility. Um, and it's a place where your mental health is what takes precedence, not your family responsibilities or your work responsibilities. This is about you and your mental health. And it's a personalized oasis, not just about learning, growth, and relaxation, but it's it's a place where your everyday stresses will be lifted, just by virtue of being in the middle of this beautiful, lush jungle. And the focus is going to shift to nurturing your mind and your spirit. The goal is, amidst the serenity, the environment, and you kind of have to be there to experience it. But what Anna and I really wanted to create is it's aimed at empowering you with the knowledge so that you don't need to take us with you. We want to empower you with knowledge about your mental health, helping you understand the root of your feelings or the root of your behavior or the root of your triggers, and then, helping you develop a plan that you can leave with. Every element of the retreat is designed to nourish every part of who you are, and that comes with also being with like-minded people. So what you can expect is to leave with more knowledge, hopefully feeling empowered to take this your mental health and your well-being into your hands and have some and be able to manage. So it's going to be about loading you up with tools to use to manage, sometimes like with some somatic exercises, to be able to, if something's happening, you have a stressful meeting coming up, to be able to just be able to sit there and use a 5-minute exercise that you learned, to help you come there with peace and balance. So by stepping away from the everyday and then immersing yourself in this, like a cocoon of self-care and education, you can expect to emerge with this newfound understanding, tools and strategies for managing your mental health. And that would be it in a nutshell, that you will come with this. I'm sure you already have tools, but we really hope to add to that toolbox. We really have help to add to the strategies, so that you leave feeling like, okay, I got this. That's what I'm hoping for.
For sure. Thank you so much, Laurie. And yeah, there's just something healing about, like I said, again, going away from your usual environment. And it's almost like a boot camp for your brain and for your mental health to really just dedicate this time to yourself. And I think maybe even retreats in the future can become this alternative way to travel, right? So rather than going to an all-inclusive resort and, let's say drink for 7 nights, maybe this is a more mindful way of traveling to really get to know yourself, work on yourself, put yourself first, so that, you can fill your cup before you can help others. And yeah, so in the coming months, we'll also be chatting more with Laurie, where she'll be sharing like mental health tips and resources and introducing tips, and topics of what she'll be teaching at the retreat in Tulum. She'll also be hosting like live Q&A, maybe like ask a therapist anything webinars in kind of like what we say in Quebec, like a 5 à 7, with 5 to 7 happy hour style session where you can do exactly that. So you can either submit your questions beforehand anonymously, or ask them during the live session, or just even tune in and become an active listener. I think there's power in knowing that you're not alone, and that you are loved and welcomed, in this community. So for me, my own healing journey has led to the healing journey retreats. And my goal is to offer a collective of mental health retreats focused on different mental health topics, such as burnout in, high functioning professionals, or anxiety, depression, childhood trauma, finding purpose and fulfillment in work and in life, maybe all things pregnancy related, also dealing with bicultural heritage or mental health in the BIPOC and LGBTQ plus groups, and more. So I think each of these topics can be its own retreat led by different therapists, facilitators. And I envision that one day, mental health retreats, like I said, it could be another way of travel, or even just kind of like that school where you go to work on yourself, because again, we're not taught anywhere else to really process our emotions. So yeah, if you are interested, please be sure to sign up to our newsletter or follow us on socials, especially if you're coming from Canada. We'll also be offering shorter, closer and more accessible retreats in Ontario and in Quebec. So think like half day, day long, and weekend retreats. And we would love to have you. And so, yeah, lastly, we have this exciting special offer to give out, as we've just officially launched the Tulum Mexico retreat, which is now in 6 months away. And for those of you that have tuned in today, we're giving 2 spots of extra early bird specials, which is a $1,000 discount on the regular retreat price on both room types. So the early bird special price is $39.95 Canadian for the single occupancy room and $34.95 for the double occupancy room. So in USD, it's around $3,000 and $2,500 respectively. And those 2 spots are first come, first served. And yeah, we also offer payment plans to help you maybe attend this retreat without financial stress. So think like monthly financing or anything that you can propose that we can kind of discuss. Also, if you want to bring a significant other or a couple of friends, or want us to help you match with a roommate, or just any info that you want, feel free to check the frequently asked questions page on the retreat. So I've just sent the link in the chat. And then, of course, contact us anytime if you have any further questions. So yeah, if you feel called to this and are ready to take action and maybe want to get the one of the 2 early bird pricing, you can just simply click on book my spot on the registration page with a $750 Canadian deposit or 500 USD to secure one of the 2 early bird spots. And yeah, if you want to pay by e-transfer or for credit card, you can just contact us and we'll sort that out for you as well. And if you're not sure if this retreat is for you, or if you have any additional questions, please feel free to book a discovery call with me or Laurie, and we'll be glad to chat with you. And in the follow-up email that I'll send out today, we'll include the book a call link and just all the ways to contact us, as well as the email list sign up for staying in touch for upcoming webinars and retreats. And of course, we would love for you to help us share the word about Healing Journey Retreat. So if you feel called to this, or know of a loved one or anyone in your life who could really benefit from a mental health retreat, or from tuning in our upcoming webinars featuring different mental health topics, please share the follow-up email with them and connect with us on social media. So, thank you so much for being with us today, and thank yourself also for taking the time for your mental health on this Friday afternoon. And yeah, we'll hope to see you soon.